Good afternoon, dear colleagues and guests. Today it is the 18th of March 2022, 3 p.m. according to Moscow time. Allow me to consider open the dissertation council concerning Mr. Shevtsov for the degree of Medical Sciences, specialization 317, Dentistry, on the topic improving of individual programs concerning patients with dentistry problems, according to the order of Alexander Gnotov from 11th of January 2022, me, Natalia Sokolovich, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Associate Professor, Head of the Department of Dentistry at St. Petersburg University, and according to this order, our board members were approved: Lyudmila Yermolaeva, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor, Head of the Department of Stomatology; Sergei Fishev, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor, Head of the Department of Dentistry among Children, St. Petersburg Pediatrics Medical University; Diana Kuzmina, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor of the Department of the Faculty of Dentistry and Medical Technology, St. Petersburg University. In the remote interactive mode, we have got Yulia Denisova, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor of the Third Department of Therapeutic Stomatology, Belarusian State Medical University. Can you see and hear us? The answer is positive. And we have got our candidate, Mr. Shevtsov, and his scientific supervisor, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor, St. Petersburg State University, the Department of Dentistry and Medical Technologies, Ulitovsky Sergei. In order to improve the quality of the connections, dear colleagues, please switch off your microphones, but please switch them on when the floor is given to you. Audio and video recording is being provided, and live broadcast at St. Petersburg University website, as well as simultaneous interpretation and email is given at the website. And the questions can be directed to our candidate and express the opinion concerning the dissertation and take part in scientific discussion. These questions will be forwarded to me, and I will voice them during the discussion. The questions must be related to the speech of the candidate and the text of the dissertation. The position of the author should be indicated, and the questions which are not related to the dissertation, anonymous questions, won't be voiced. And concerning the degree of the candidate and doctoral degree stated by the normative acts of St. Petersburg University, the council is eligible if there are not less than 4 people. Our dissertation council consists of 5 people. All of them are present, including 1 member in the remote interactive mode. Audio and visual contact is being provided. Thus, we have got the quorum. And dear worker of the dissertation department, please arrange the attendance sheet, and our procedure will take 2 hours. The short report of the chairperson, answers to the questions, approximately 5 minutes. Short report of the candidate reflecting its main positions, about 15 minutes. Questions to the candidate. strictly according to the report, and the answers of the candidate no more than 5 minutes. External reviews, speeches of all board members with the evaluation of the dissertation and questions, and to the candidate the speech of the chairperson, approximately 10 minutes, answers of the candidate to the dissertation council, open discussion, speeches of the people with their reflections of the positions, with specific questions and suggestions to the candidate strictly according to the candidate. All volunteers should indicate their position, name and surname. Then questions to the candidate which came during the scientific discussion, during the live broadcast of the council meeting. Written questions which take more than 2 minutes won't be voiced. Answers of the candidate no more than 2 minutes to one question. Speech of the scientific supervisor no more than 3 minutes. The discussion of the board members approximately 5 minutes. Open vote and counting of the votes with the entering to the minutes of the meeting, taking the decision of awarding or not awarding the degree, concluding remark by the candidate no more than 2 minutes. Dear colleagues, are there any questions or objections to our procedure? Yulia Leonidovna, do you have any questions concerning our agenda? No questions. Any objections? First of all, please switch off the sound of your mobile phones, dear colleagues. And in the remote interactive mode, don't switch off your telephone. The dissertation of Alexander Shevtsov for the degree of the candidate of medical sciences, scientific specialization 310 dentistry, on the topic improving of individual prophylactic programs among patients, was accepted to the defense by the order of scientific secretary 22nd of December 2021. Our candidate completed his research as an postgraduate student. His scientific supervisor is Professor, Doctor of Medical Sciences, the Department of Therapeutic Stomatology, Faculty of Stomatology and Medical Technology, St. Petersburg University, Sergei Litovsky. The number of publications is 3 works in the peer-reviewed approved by the Minister of the Russian Federation, 3 works. There are no publications in the Web of Science at Scopus. All the documents conforms with the requirements and are stored in the attestation file of the candidate. Their copies are stored in the Department of Dissertation Councils. Before we give the floor to our candidate, dear board members, do you have any general questions to the candidate, and if there is a necessity to voice all the documents for the defense? No questions. Short report of the candidate. Distinguished board members, distinguished chairperson, dear all present, and according to Arsenina, Nikitina, and Yermolaeva, and prophylactics of the patients can lead to the problems, and hygienic measures are very necessary. According to Sokolovich, Mansur, Nagaitseva, they wrote that today 80% of patients are treated by special devices, and they reduce the quality of hygienic measures. One of the negative performances are approximate areas which lead to the changes of microflora in these areas. Свириденкова, Денисова, Pintos stated that new problems which takes less than 2 years is more than 50%, and those patients who are not treated are 2%. And these problems are among 24% of patients. Ulitovsky, Tennant, Berhams, and others stated the connection between the level of the hygienic procedure during the treatment. Levinets, Kostenko, Kontarev, Panachafishev. Over the last period of time, a lot of attention was paid to the supervision of the patients rather than prophylactics, and individual programs of treatment was composed, and the approaches to special approaches are very important. High frequency of problems due to problematic hygienic procedures are stipulated by stipulates the actuality of the work. Here the slide shows the adverse consequences of patients. The aim of the research was the study of dentistry patients in treatment, the development of individual hygienic programs of prophylactics of dentistry problems. To achieve this aim, the following tasks were stated: to study the proliferation and intensity of main dentistry problems among patients, to compose special programs to treat them, to define the level of hygienic knowledge and the importance of dentistry patients, to develop and implement individual hygienic programs, to implement the way of index. The main provisions for the defense: low level of hygienic knowledge is correlated with the low level of dentistry health. Bracket systems and the quality of hygienic of mouth correlates with the quantity of the oral hygiene, and increased period of devices have adverse consequences on the patients, and the improvement of the measures of hygiene defines the quality of hygienic conditions of the mouth and dentistry apparatus. And we studied 10 types of toothpaste and toothbrushes. The most effective and the patients were divided into 4 groups. These groups were different. And the patients provided hygienic measures during 1 year. And these patients were resistant to enamel. It was simplified. The index of hygiene, preventive index, and the index of blood in Litovsky. And the index evaluation of the mouth hygiene and the patent was received, and the exclusions were represented. And the distribution of problems was among 80%, from 7 to 8.2%, and the percent of patients with healthy condition and according to the index, is the most indication was and to protect a proximal surface of the teeth, and the indication of this index was reduced to, and the indicator was reduced to 1.84. Correspondingly, in control group, the index was reduced to the minimum. And according to all this study was supervised by the dentistry construction, and the level of knowledge was in the second group to, in the third group increased to 247 to 1.5. This data stated in the third group, the reduction was by 32%. It was the reduction of numeral indicators, and it was stated that in the first group it was reduced to 3.14, and in the control group to 2.9. Applied individual programs proved the efficiency. It was proved by the dynamics of the study. They correlate in one group. The most efficiency had the programs of measures in the first group, and the majority of cleansing effect 57% and blood 68%. In the second group, this data was 46% correspondingly. In the third and control group, on the basis of these results, the following conclusions were made. More than 83% of problems were represented, and the proliferation of inflammation diseases was 74%. And the most efficiency had prophylactic toothpaste, and they were the basis of the main basic program of problems among the patients. The level of knowledge changed. The effect of individual hygienic program according to index in the first group was 74%. The efficiency of inflammation programs during 12 months was 57, 46 and 36%. On the basis of the data, the index of hygienic and the patent was issued, and the number is shown in the screen, in the slide, and practical recommendations were divided into general clinic measures. They were represented in the screen. Dear colleagues, thank you for your attention. Thank you. Dear board members, do you have any questions to our candidate strictly according to his report, which reflect the main provisions of the study? No questions. There are no external reviews. And the next point of our agenda, the speeches of board members with the evaluation of dissertation research, questions and suggestions to the candidate. I remind you that our candidate can answer after each feedback or after all speeches. I offer you to answer after each board member speech. As all the speeches were published at the St. Petersburg University website, I allow you to reflect to focus on main remarks. Dear board members, do you have any objections? The speeches of the board members. Sergei Borisovich Fishev. Dear board members, and guests today, more than 80% of patients are treated by special preventive devices, and pathogenic activity of microflora is increased, and bracket system, when it is used, there is ill hygienic of the mouth, catarrhalic or hypertrophic gingivitis appear, and it indicates to it leads to the special measures treatment. And there are a lot of diseases among people with the use of propedeutic apparatuses as bracket system and efficient propedeutic measures in the mouth in order to form Further, individual hygienic program, the treatment of dentistry diseases, for the first time, the study of the connection and pathology of the, and for the first time, individual hygienic programs were developed of the diseases among patients on the basis of clinical and laboratory research, which allow to reduce the risk of the appearance of main propedeutic dentistry diseases, and it allows to increase the level of dentistry health. The analysis, which was conducted by our candidate, dynamics and intensity of tooth treatment on the basis of the program of treatment was implemented, taking into account the dentistry situation among these patients, the stipulation of the provisions for the defense, it is defined by modern methodological level of the work. And adequate statistical processing. The research was conducted in accordance with the approved medicine. Clinical and laboratory data was acquired from the patients. They were conducted on the clinical basis during the period of 2017 to 2020. According to the results of the research published, there were 15 works published. 3 works were published in peer-reviewed journals of high attestation committee, and 1 patent for the invention was received. The main provisions of the dissertations are used for the patients which are treated with the help of special devices. The dissertation of Mr. Shevtsov on the topic, the improvement of individual prophylactic programs among patients on the dentistry treatment conforms with the main requirements stated by the order from 19th of November 2021, number 11181, procedure on awarding academic degrees at St. Petersburg University, and our candidate deserves the degree of the candidate of medical sciences, specialization 3-1. And points were not violated by the candidate. Lyudmila Alexandrovna. As the dissertation was available for the study, and at St. Petersburg website there is my review. Please allow me to focus on the special and spelling mistakes, stylistic mistakes present, but they don't reduce the overall positive impression from the study. What do you mean the action of hygiene, and is the difference the intensity of problems and inflammation diseases main from the average indications? Distinguished Lyudmila Alexandrovna, the action of propedeutic measures. They are stipulated by the components which are included into its composition, and it defines the action to which pathology they influence. The fluoride has the antimicrobe action. And if concerning your second question, we did not study this question, the intensity of propedeutic diseases, and to compare literature data. We can say these parameters are higher than average. Lyudmila Alexandrovna, are you satisfied with the answers? Yes, I am completely satisfied, and our audience, I hope that they are also satisfied. The dissertation of Mr. Alexander Shevtsov on the topic the improvement of individual propedeutic programs among patients with orthodontic dentistry treatment conforms with the requirements of the order number 19 from the 19th 2011, procedure on awarding academic degrees at St. Petersburg University. And our candidate, Mr. Shevtsov, Alexander Shevtsov, deserves the degree of the candidate of medical sciences, specialization 317, dentistry. Points 9 and 10 were not violated by our candidate. Lyudmila Alexandrovna, thank you very much. Yulia Leonidovna Denisova, please, your review. Distinguished Natalia Alexandrovna, distinguished board members, scientific research of the candidate are devoted to one of the actual problems of modern dentistry. It is stipulated by the request of healthcare, and without doubt, scientific and practical significance of the work. It is important not only for dentistry specialists and for specialists of general practice, and the direction of the research and practical results are actual. For practical healthcare, we should indicate that the work was conformed in accordance with the requirements for these dissertation papers. Scientific novelty. It is proved by the patent. It is the level of special index of hygiene was and the quality of and the patients, the reality of the results are of scientific significance. The methods of statistical processing of the results are adequate, and the results of the work were tested at international conferences, and they were published in peer-reviewed journals. I don't have any remarks concerning this study and special stylistic. And allow me to ask some questions. Technical break. We announced the first technical break. It is 3:34 p.m. In order to improve communication, yes, the break is finished. The connection disappeared. use different programs, and did you see the difference in mouth hygiene depending on the use of bracket system? Do you understand my question? Distinguished colleagues, Yulia Leonidovna, I understand your question. And the difference, there was not any difference. According to the data of our work, we did not see the difference in mouth hygiene depending on the use of the system in brackets. Thank you. Yes, I am satisfied. The dissertation of Mr. Shevtsov on the topic the improvement of the individual preventive programs in the patients in orthodontical treatment conforms with the requirements stated by the order from the 1911-2021, and our candidate Alexander Shevtsov deserves the degree of the candidate of medical sciences, specialization 317 dentistry. Points 9 and 11 were not violated by the candidate. Diana Alexeyevna, please. The floor is yours, distinguished Natalia Alexandrovna. Allow me to focus on the initiatives of the resultative part of my review. There are no remarks to the dissertation, but in the course of the study of the work, there were some questions, and I want you to answer them. Number one, which measurements did you use and color scale did you use and why? And the second question, why the evaluation of the tissue of... Please answer the question. Distinguished Diana Alexeyevna, when we studied the enamel, we used the scale of blue color. We used it for the detailed and answering the second question, I would like to indicate that we used dentistry indexes, reversible indexes, which reflect the inflammations in soft tissues of problems. All the patients are treated with the X-ray treatment, computer tomography, and so on. Are you satisfied? Thank you. I am fully satisfied. And the conclusion, the dissertation of Mr. Shevtsov on the topic the improvement of individual propedeutic programs among patients on propedeutic treatment conforms with the main requirements of the order from 1911-2021, number level 181.1, procedure on awarding degrees at St. Petersburg University, and our candidate deserves the degree of the candidate of medical sciences, specialization 317, dentistry. Points 9 and 11 were not violated by the candidate. Diana Alexeyevna, thank you very much. And my feedback, I want to say that I'm not going to focus on the review. Distinguished board members describe the work, fully describe the work. I want to say that the actuality of the research is very high because we supervise all the specializations of dentistry and the increased number of patients are connected with these reasons. And children and adults, they wear special propedeutic apparatus, and after its use we start to. That's why the research which was conducted and the patients wear propedeutical apparatuses, and usual people who don't use these propedeutic devices and my overall impression from the work is positive. And what about the motivation of patients in order to reflect the overall picture, which is aimed at the preservation of the patients? I would like you to fully describe the motivation, and it is aimed at and I would like you to ask question. How did you define the distinguished Natalia Alexandrovna? Answering your question, I want to say that and we improved, and we decided to conduct this research in hygienic knowledge among the patients, and after the first month of the research we saw the changes and the frequency of these treatments. And the dissertation of Alexander Shevtsov on the topic, the improvements of individual programs, conforms with the main requirements stated by the order from the 19th of November 2021, number 111181, procedure on awarding academic degrees, dissolves the degree, specialization 317, dentistry points 1 and 11 were not violated by the candidate. Dear all present, please ask your questions. They are not board members. Please, if there are such volunteers, no more than 2 minutes per speaker. Please, your full name and the place of work and your position. Sergey Popov, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor. Polyclinics number 9. and the research was made by the group of authors under the supervision of Mr. Litovsky. This topic is demandable in order to improve complex approach this aspect and this group of patients is treated, and the quality of preventive treatment should be increased and effective. Complex treatment which is provided in dentistry, and being close to Alexander Viktorovich, according to the next of movement as a professor, I would like to underline that highlight the high clinical potential of the candidate, and I would like to highlight his qualities which are made in our life rarely, his responsibility, hard-working character, and I would like to positively characterize the work candidate and of course wish him further development both in scientific direction and move to the stars, his stars which he chose. Sergey Alexandrovich, thank you very much. Are there any volunteers who want to have the floor? Are there any external questions during the meeting of our dissertation council? Are there any external questions? No questions. Thank you. Sergey Borisovich, please have the floor. Please describe distinguished chairperson, distinguished board members, dear guests. Alexander Viktorovich came to our department being the second year student, and he was became the member of student scientific community, and his interests was born to scientific work, which was reflected by the end of the institute he became the chairperson of the scientific student society. Then he was the head lab worker, and his promotion and his interest towards the topic to the specialization proved that he was here in this hall and represented his work, logical stage in his life. And I want to wish him not to stop on his achievements and improve his knowledge. Thank you very much. Sergey Borisovich, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, do you want to have the floor among board members or among those who are present in the hall? Yulia Leonidovna, would you like to say anything? I prove his high level of the work, the interest which appeared during the study. I'm responsible the conclusions and practical recommendations which Alexander offered for dentistry specialists of general practice. They are very valuable and they will be used in the work, and the results of this and the discussion is finished, and questions, receiving no questions is finished. Dear board members and candidates, do you have any questions towards the procedure of the connected with the remote interactive mode? Sergey Borisovich, do you have any questions? Diana Alexeyevna, Yulia Leonidovna? Dear colleagues, before the commencing of the voting, we can have the break for voting in order to discuss the results of the dissertation. We think that we don't need such a break. Yulia Leonidovna, please, let's turn to the voting. Dear colleagues, I ask you to check whether we hear each other very well. I raise the question on awarding academic degree to Mr. Shevtsov on an open roll call. I would like to highlight that voting for every board member is agreed that point 11 was not violated by the candidate. Let me quote it. The dissertation. In the dissertation, the candidate should refer to the author and source of the results in the use of the results of scientific works concluded, accomplished by himself or in co-authorship. I remind you that the decision of the Dissertation Council on the question of awarding the academic degree is considered positive if more than half, but not less than 3 members of the Dissertation Council voted for, according to the point 23 of the order. Lyudmila Yermolaeva, your opinion? I am for. Board member Sergey Fishev, I am for. Board member Diana Kuzmina, I am for. Board member Yulia Denisovna, I am for. Me, chairperson Natalia Sokolovich, I am for. To conclude, distinguished colleagues, 5 voted for. There are now those who are against. The decision on awarding academic degree to Mr. Shevtsov of the degree of Candidate Medical Sciences, scientific degree, Dentistry, is accepted. And concluding remarks by the candidate, distinguished colleagues, distinguished chairperson, distinguished board members, I would like to thank you for high professionalism. I would like to express my gratitude to our scientific supervisor, distinguished Lutovsky Sergey, and all those who are present in the hall for your support. Our congratulations to you on awarding the academic degree, and the meeting is considered finished. Please switch off the live broadcast of the meeting.